RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. You know, follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, October 15th. And you know what we do on Tuesdays? We take a look at NHL. Yeah, we got 9 games on the docket tonight. And hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Remember, Tuesdays, kind of like no NFL going on, whatever. I know you guys love football, but that's what we cover pretty much the rest of the week until the end of the year. But since NHL always has big slates on Tuesdays, we bring in Tim Buell for some from looksies on DraftKings, maybe some prop bets. And yeah, I'm excited to play a slate that has of actual size. Typically, I don't play hockey on Saturdays. I know they're bigger slates on Saturdays, but Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 games, maybe not 13 games, but it looks like a fun slate. Tim, let's maybe the elephant in the room based on our projections here at RotoGrinders. And remember, you could get that here as part of a combo premium package. You just don't need NHL. We got all this October. NBA is back soon. We got everything going on at the same time. So you want that combo premium package to get everything that we have on the site. Click on that link in the description below. Get $40 off your first month. But Tim, how chalky are the Panthers going to be?
Yeah, it seems like they're going to be really, really chalky. And I'm kind of not exactly sure what I want to do with that. Because they are going to be missing Alexander Barkov, who is their best two-way center. He's their captain, probably maybe their second best overall player. And they're also missing Matthew Tkachuk, who's probably their best offensive player. So they're missing 2 huge pieces from their top forwards. And so it's an interesting spot because what's left of the Panthers, they're not void of talent. Okay. I mean, they still have good players on their team. This is a Stanley Cup champion winning team, and they're relatively cheap. But like I said, they are missing those 2 key pieces. They are on the road, which is always a little bit tricky too. That's always makes chalk a little bit fragile as well. That being said, Columbus is a horrible defensive team. So it's I would say I'm still up in the air whether or not this is good chalk or bad chalk. I think there's a little bit of fragility to it. But they're in a fantastic spot.
Right, we see on line 1. I mean, line 1 and power play 1. I mean, the thing is, if I could bring this up on the screen. Okay, there we go. The thing is that like Carter Verhaeghe, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right.
You are, yep.
I mean, 7,300. It's like, okay. I mean, he projects well for 7,300, but these like Sam Bennett at 56, Evan Rodriguez at 44. Then you get Reinhart on the second line, but plays on the power play, 7.7K. So like, it's not like free square level type of stuff, right? You mix in like Ekblad or Bovquist, the defender Bovquist. I mean, you could play one-offs. I mean, you could play even line 2 because really with both Barkov and Tkachuk gone, I mean, how much are you going to expect like lines 3 and 4 to really carry the brunt of their offense? And you mentioned with Barkov and Tkachuk gone, I mean, looking at these we have stack rankings here, which will go from every stack. I'll even show you. I'll even drag this over. I have it on my other screen that I look. This is part, if you get the NHL premium or combo premium, you get this. This is a lot of times what we'll look at first. Instead of looking at lineup HQ and sorting by, point per dollar and everything like that, we're playing stacks in NHL. So I go and I sort by value. And obviously, there's some cheap stuff, but I want to see like the highest green stuff here. And the highest green, at 13.07 is Florida 1. Then you get 12.44. That's like the average projection of Florida power play 1. But you also see the the highest point per dollar stack on the slate that has any decent enough projection. are the Columbus Blue Jackets. Also,
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts? I mean, we're early in the season. Maybe some people have not played NHL DFS much, if at all. What are your thoughts on stuff like stacking a game in general? We saw last night. There was 8-7, 15 goals
Yes.
in one game.
Yeah, that was pretty absurd. I believe Ottawa and the Kings, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any like negative correlation as far as like playing like Florida won and Columbus won, for instance, because they're all going to be on the ice at the same time? I mean, it doesn't preclude goals getting scored from one side and then another side.
So teams don't always hard match lines. So just because line one is out for one team doesn't mean line one is out for the other. If that makes sense. So I would have to look at exactly what these teams do necessarily in that regard. The only reason that I would be playing Columbus is just because their prices. I mean, they're so dirt cheap. I'm not really convinced that there's a whole lot of correlation in game stacking. Sometimes
either positive or negative. The only theory I would have, Tim, is that maybe there's a bit negative correlation, not a lot, of stacking like power play one of one side with the other team, because like in an outlier instance, if a team is getting like 7-8 power plays, I mean, that's really restricting the ice time of like the main attackers of the other team because they're killing penalties all the time.
There might be some correlation with like a top pair defender that's also on the penalty kill of the opposing team, if that makes sense, because of the block shot bonus. So if you're expecting Florida to be peppering Columbus with shots, maybe going with like a Provorov gets you a little bit of correlation, something like that. I think there might be some correlation with that. But I mean, I really treat hockey like baseball. If both teams are in a good matchup, then it's just like a natural game stack. It's not because of correlation. It's just because they're both in good spots. They both have good prices.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that maybe there's something involved where both teams are value, but from the those tail end outcomes, maybe there's some like negative correlation to some point. But I mean, what the Panthers typically are a team that takes a lot of shots. I mean, a lot of times I will play goalkeepers against the Panthers, and we do have a pretty good projection for a $7,200 Elvis Merzlikins, whatever.
You had it right the first time.
Oh, the first time. Okay, that's even better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not playing Florida at all, I mean, we talk primarily GPPs on this show when we come to NHL. From a GPP perspective, if you're not going to play any Panthers tonight, isn't like Merzlikins would be great, like leverage goalkeeper on the slate, because the Panthers fail, most likely, Merzlikins probably has a decent enough score. I mean, failing in NHL is weird because like the Panthers could score 4 goals and it goes across lines where like no line gets there because all the lines have like 1 goal, maybe 2 or something, and you're not going to win the GPP that way. And then Merzlikins still has like -4 or whatever. And there are 3 goals in the first period and they pull him. And then you're sitting there with, not much. So it's not as dramatic. I mean, very similar to pitchers where like a stack could fail, but the pitcher still is like it's not good enough anyway. I know we're talking a lot about this Panthers Blue Jackets game.
This is a very important game.
Right, but I mean, it's clearly from a pricing perspective, I mean, it is by far clearly the most appealing game on the slate.
If the Panthers really do bust and only score like say like 1 to 2 goals or obviously 0, Elvis is like an amazingly strong play in my opinion. So if you want to take an underweight position on Florida in an MME setting, I would make sure to get to some Elvis here. He is very, very cheap. It's always, teams can win any given day in NHL. I think without Barkov and Kachuk, 2 amazing players, this this Florida lineup, to use a baseball term, is a little watered down, right? So if you don't want to play Florida, I say get to some Lincolns in your GPP portfolio.
What would be your preferred way of playing Florida? The chalky way is to just play just PP1 across the board, I'm assuming. And just like, but would you even do that with Verhaeghe and Reinhart? Because those are the two more expensive players. Or would you just take one or play line? I mean, a contrarian way is to play just like line 2, because like Lundell, like line 2 doesn't project badly either.
Yeah, that line 2 is actually kind of sneaky. But I mean, I would imagine that both line 1 and line 2 are going to get ownership. So it's not. I think I actually do kind of like Sam Bennett today. I bet his over shots on goal on DraftKings. So I kind of do like Sam Bennett today. But probably not a good idea to play him as a one-off. So I think if I was going to play Florida, I'd probably just go the real easy way, just go straight line 1. I'm not a really big Adam Boquist guy. I'm always surprised that he kind of like gets this PP1 run on all these teams, on these teams that he's on. I'm not going to pay 4,200 for him. I would just go line 1 and just leave it at that. Maybe if you want to pair defenseman, I'd much rather play Ekblad or Forsling.
Okay, now if we're not going to talk and not going to have Panthers Blue Jackets, and from a raw perspective, I'm assuming like the top teams on the slate. I mean, obviously we have to talk about Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
Connor McDavid, 9,500. I mean, what could go wrong? I mean, Jeff Skinner, Zach Hyman. I mean, it's the Oilers at home against the Flyers. I mean, if you're gonna pay up for a line, but I mean, like Skinner is fairly cheap. So like playing, Nugent Hopkins is cheap enough. I mean, you got Arvidsson there. I mean, this is not the Oilers of like last year, where seems like line 1 and line 2, outside of obviously Connor McDavid, are fairly kind of even from like a projection versus like price perspective. Like I never mind playing Draisaitl, as a one-off, especially. Is if you're not going to play the Panthers, I mean, it's kind of hard to play. Isn't it kind of hard to even play like stack the Oilers without like even taking like one like an Evan Rodriguez one-off or something like that? I mean, just from a value standpoint.
Yeah, or you go down to some of those cheap Columbus players also. Like a Sean Monahan, a Kent Johnson, somebody like that for Columbus, I think is definitely in play if you want to stack an expensive team like Edmonton, or if you want to stack an expensive team like Tampa Bay. We've got to talk about Tampa Bay on this slate also.
Right.
But yeah,
do you prefer between Edmonton and Tampa Bay? Which one do you prefer between the two? Because like Tampa Bay 1 is more expensive than, they may be the most expensive stack on the slate. I mean, you got 9,400 Kucherov, Point is 7,700, Gunsel is 7,500, Hedman is 6,200. Like it is tough to get. It feels like I'll play like one of line 1 as like a one-off. Like play one of these guys as a one-off, but the full stack. I mean, you're playing Columbus if you're stacking Tampa Bay.
That's right. You are definitely playing Columbus if you're stacking Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to play all 3 of line 1. They really got to all go like multi-point. Really have to explode. It's all going to come from that line. It's not a team that I'm probably going to full stack. I think I would maybe go like Kucherov, Hedman, Gensel, and leave Point off, perhaps some variation of that. If I wanted to get 3 pieces of the Tampa Bay power play 1, that's probably how I would play it. They're still using, I believe they're still using Darren Radish on their power play 1. Tampa Bay's been playing a lot of 11-7, so that's 11 forward, 7 defensemen. So that I think they're still playing Radish on the PP1. He's not going to get a lot of even strength time, so he's got to produce. I mean, he's only 3,100. He's got to produce on the power play for him to exceed value. So I think it's a little bit risky. I'd rather just pay up for Hedman and then add in pieces like Kucherov or Gensel.
And can you explain for newbies, since it's the second week of NHL, and maybe some new people or that have never played NHL DFS? I know this show was turned on last year when we were doing it on Tuesdays. New people to NHL, so I hope more people play NHL DFS. I mean, it turned me on to playing NHL. What is the advantages from a DFS perspective when someone will be paying attention on Twitter or maybe in our Discord, which is great for all the news, rotogrinders.com/Discord, when a team is going 11-7?
Yeah, so that just means like an extra maybe a minute or two for the forwards, and then maybe like a little bit of reduction in minutes for the defensemen. But it's looking like Tampa Bay's already had morning skate, and they're not going to be going 11-7. So never mind any of that. But still, Radish is still projected to be on the power play 1. But still, I don't think he's a great play. So no more 11-7s. Back to the traditional 12-6 for Tampa Bay, it looks like, at morning skate. So yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, Tampa Bay's in a really great spot as well. They're just extremely expensive.
And occasionally, don't you see some teams that go 13-5?
I saw it once. I've seen it once. I think it actually happened last year. It was pretty funny. But that basically never happens.
Right. But there are certain instances, though, that you see lineups where like the top defensive pair could play like over 30 minutes.
So, well, sometimes teams have to play a player short because of salary cap constraints, and that's very, very strange when you have to play a player down. That's pretty fun. The Rangers had to play, I think, 3 or 4 straight games with a man down. So that's something you very, very rarely see also in the NHL.
Okay, so we talked about the Oilers, we talked about the Lightning, the Panthers Blue Jackets game, the chalk of the slate. What else are we looking at? Because I go into our NFL, our NHL DFS stack values, and now it kind of there's like this middle zone of like there's a bunch of stuff here. Nothing like sticks out, but there are options.
I love Carolina. I bet them straight up money line last night when I was recording the show with Stevie, because we did an NHL also slate also with Stevie, and I love Carolina a ton. Even if you don't want to like pay up for Sebastian Aho, I mean there are plenty of other really, really good options on that team that correlate. You've got Seth Jarvis, Andrei Svechnikov, Martin Necas, all on the power play 1. I bet the Seth Jarvis over shot prop, over 2.5. Shane Gostisbehere, he's 3,200. I mean, he's the point man on that power play. New Jersey played yesterday, and then now have to travel to Carolina. So I mean, this is a really, really, really good schedule spot for Carolina. So I'm pretty heavy on Carolina, and I didn't really get to as many of them as I thought I was going to when I was just running in initial projections. I thought they'd be popping a lot with Florida. I thought I was going to get to a lot of Carolina as well. Did not see them as much, but I do like them a ton. I like their prices, and I just really love the schedule spot as well.
Well, the thing with the Hurricanes, as I remember from last season, maybe it's not the same this season, is that they play all their lines kind of like evenly, right? It's not like line 1 gets a ton of time and then line 2 gets a little bit less and then line 3 drops off a cliff type of stuff. I mean, you'll see line 3 out there. I mean, plenty. I mean, that's what always deters me from playing a lot of Carolina is that it's hard for some of these guys to see 20 minutes of ice time. Or 21 minutes of ice time. So, I mean, it feels to me that based on the line setup on our starting lineups page, that the Carolina Hurricanes seems a little bit more top heavy than last season. Maybe
And
Line
no,
one.
it's pretty much the same team. It's pretty much the same team. I don't disagree with you,
Jarvis used
Blender.
to play on line two. I mean, I remember last year that the line two was a little bit stronger. I mean, I remember Martinook and Stahl on line three, but I'm just
Yeah.
asking for is Carolina going to be under-owned because people are less likely to stack a team where they have to be a little bit more efficient in their time on ice, or you just like power play one and just hope for a bunch of penalties, and there you go. That's all. I mean, if they're on the power play, I mean, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly not disagreeing with you. They're only one game in, so we don't really know. We don't really know what they're going to be doing. But I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I love Martinichis. I love Seth Jarvis, and I love Svechnikov. Those three guys. Maybe you can't play them all on the same team because they're all at the wing. But I think this team, the top line, top power play unit is in a fantastic spot. So, and I love Gostisbehere's price. I'm not really a huge fan of Shane Gostisbehere, but if he's going to be this cheap and he's going to get all the power play one time, then I say I'm all for it. Definitely prefer him over Boquist for the Panthers for $1,000 less for sure.
So what other teams are we looking at also? I see like Dallas is coming up
Yeah, we've got to talk about Dallas.
Because Dallas is a similar type. To me, Dallas now is almost worse than what Carolina used to be.
They are because they don't even have one fully correlated line. At least Carolina has one completely correlated line. Dallas doesn't have one, and Dallas has the highest implied total on the entire slate. They're the only team with a four goal total. So, I mean, they're gonna dominate this game. How they're gonna go about and do it, I really don't know. This is definitely, though, if I was building out more and more lineups, I'd be getting to a little bit more and more Dallas because I would assume one of these lines is going to explode. I mean, they should dominate the Sharks team, especially at home. The Sharks don't have Macklin Celebrini, their number one overall pick. So I mean, it really should be a pretty easy win for Dallas. They should. I mean, it would not shock me if they put up 5 or 6 goals here. So is it going to be Jamie Benn on the third line that goes off? Is it going to be Tyler Seguin, who projects unbelievably well in the second line? Is it going to be Jason Robinson on the first line? I really don't know. I don't know. So
I would at least prefer. I would prefer to take a shot on line 2 and line 3, just simply to the price.
Yes. Yeah, I don't hate that take. I don't hate that take at all. I've got my eyes on that third line as well. I love Wyatt Johnson. I love Stan Coben, and I don't mind Jamie Benn, even though he's getting up there in years. So I really don't mind that Dallas 3 line at all.
What other teams are on your radar?
Yeah, so I think we've got to talk about. We talked about Edmonton. I did bet the over in that Edmonton game. How about
the Flames against the Blackhawks?
Yeah, the Flames against the Blackhawks, and then we'll talk about the Predators.
Okay.
So the Flames against the Blackhawks. The Flames have a 3.4 total, which is pretty decent. They should handle this team. The Flames have looked outstanding so far this year. I'm not going to expect them to be outstanding all year, but against this Blackhawks team, they should be able to dominate this game pretty well. I'm a huge fan of Connor Zary. He's 3,300. Power play 1. He plays on a really, really solid second line with Backlund and Coleman. So, I mean, I consider him a really good pivot. I think like away from maybe some of that more popular Florida value, and also a pivot off some of that Columbus value. So I do like Zary quite a bit. Obviously,
just realize what you're getting with Zary is like either like 3 points or like 22. Where I mean, like,
Yeah,
right? Like Zari has no flaw. I mean, for 3,300, I don't mind taking I'll take him as a one-off.
yeah,
And he's someone that, could score 20 plus points without anyone else on the team. Like they all have like 10. They have an assist, obviously, stuff like that. But I'd much rather play a 3,300 Zari than a $3,300 like non-power play second pair defender, like a punt defend. Like I'm not a big, you know me. I talk about on the show. I like paying up for defenders, or at least paying for defenders that are like power play one time. Like I don't care about $2,700 guy in the third pair, and hopefully he luck boxes into 2 assists or a block shot bonus or something. I'd much rather, if I'm going to go sub 4K, I try to stick to the the wingers with that could show up with 2 goals in a game.
Well, if you like pay up defenders, then Mackenzie Weegar on this Flames team, power play 1 in a really good, should be a good which should be a good special team spot. So Mackenzie Weegar at 6,400, and we'll talk about another outstanding offensive defenseman in the next game. But I do like Mackenzie Weegar quite a bit at 6,400. So if you like to pay up for those, huge upside defenders, Weegar's a really, really solid choice, a fantastic choice.
But not as solid as Roman Josi.
That's who we're going to talk about next. All right,
yep. To me, Nashville is Nashville's not as easy anymore because like Marchessault is on the team now, Stamkos is on the team. It's not Nashville used to be like you just play like power play 1 line 1. You're done. It's like 4 guys that you play and everyone else is kind of irrelevant. But as one-offs, I never mind playing Josie and I never mind playing Forsberg.
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I'm starting off my cash game team and my primary single entry team with Roman Josi. He's my first guy in. I mean, the guy put up 9 shots last game. Okay. He's going to play 25 plus minutes, probably closer to like 27. Okay. So he's going to play almost half the game, right? Which is humongous. That's huge minutes in hockey. Okay. And he's under 8K. I don't think he should ever be under 8K. So Josi is my first player in. If you want to pair him, then obviously you could go Forsberg. I guess you can go. I don't really like that top line. I'd rather pair him with some of these second line guys like Marchessault or Stamkos. So it's definitely, or you can just play him as a one-off. I mean, I think Josi has a ton of standalone value. So I actually, you won't like this bet, Blender, but I took the Roman Josi over 1.5 points at plus 190. So I like
show
that.
His value. I mean, based on our projections, I mean, he is a great projection. I
don't know what the math says. I just took that one right off the dome, so I didn't actually do the math, but I do. That is one of the bets that I made.
So I know we talked about Merzlikins as a cheap goalkeeper to play his leverage on the Panthers. What I know, talking about goalkeeper, I don't like spending 5 minutes on goalkeeper, but people always ask, right? They're in the Discord, what goalkeeper to play. From a value perspective, I mean, we go to projections here. I mean, if you're not gonna play Carolina, to me, Markstrom at 7,400, Binnington against the Wild. I guess
I don't like that game. I kind of have this in my head that's gonna be a pretty low volume game. So I'm not really that intrigued with Binnington. I definitely agree with you. If you're not going to go Carolina, to go Markstrom. You're not going to go.
But is there a need to pay up on this? Like, it feels like from the projections that
there's almost never a reason to pay up. Okay, I mean, like you see Jake Ottinger's price. What does that say? 8,500. I mean, the Sharks aren't going to have the puck. How is he going to get how is he going to pay off 8,500? I mean, he's just not going to. I've played Edinger before. He'll find a way to give up 4 goals. Right. Well, then you're totally screwed. But I mean, even if he gets you a shutout and 20 saves and the win, that's barely enough. I mean, the other team has to have the puck. So I see no reason to be going up to Ottinger. I'd probably start at Saros. That might be the most expensive goalie I'd go with. And then I don't mind Vasilevsky at 7,800. I don't mind him. So we've got Saros, Vasilevsky, Markstrom, and Elvis Merzlikins as like tournament dart throws.
Right, but it shows here that actually the highest point per dollar value by a little bit more is Mrazek on the Blackhawks against Calgary.
I'm not doing that. I don't.
Right,
I don't.
well, that's one of those situations that you hope there's enough saves to.
Well, and the reason that's the case is because the Flames take a lot of low percentage shots. Okay, and so that's why you see this elevated projection of goalies against them. But still, it's very, very risky. I'd rather take my risk with Merzlikins or Markstrom.
Then any other prop bets that you have on the board?
So I have 3 right now. I think I've shared all of them. Sam Bennett over 3.5 shots, plus 120. Seth Jarvis over 2.5 shots, plus 120. And then Roman Josi over 1.5 points, plus 190. And then I bet Carolina straight up money line. I got them at 150. They're now minus 160. And then I bet the Flyers Oilers over 6.5 minus 105.
And you can get all of our statistical projections here at RotoGrinders. If you're NHL Premium or Combo Premium, you could just download the CSV. You could use it any way you want. But we also have a prop model page for NHL, which shows the top 20 bets, and depending on book you want to use or whatever. So you could, even if you just want, what's the top values at the current time, right? Because our projections get updated. Obviously, Dane is in the chat. He updates these like multiple times a day. Go out and if people early in the season have noticed that DraftKings has smacked their lines with a ton of extra hold. So if you want probably the best numbers, 365 or MGM for as long as you could use them, probably a better place. But DraftKings does have some stuff. But I see in our prop model currently, because people Tim, people love the overs. They like rooting for stuff. The highest, the over bet that we have that shows a positive value based on our projections is Draisaitl over 2.5 shots, 54% win percentage with an edge of 6.91%. So I'm assuming on BetMGM it's like plus 105, I guess. Yeah, for 6% edge would be something like that, plus 100, plus 105. I'm assuming. I mean, that's how they calculate what the edge is. I will have that very shortly. So, Tim, anything else NHL related, content related, where people can go to obviously talk to you is the NHL Discord.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, Dane and I are almost always in the NHL Discord. We'll always be there before lock on any main slate. It's a great Discord, and come hang out.
We get all the news and information, just like what was posted that Eriksson Ek and Spurgeon will not be playing tonight on the Wild. So yeah, I don't even have to use Twitter. That's the great thing about our Discord. Is that like I don't even have an NHL tweet deck list, which I have for every sport. I don't need it because you guys have that list and you post everything that would have been that I need to look out for there anyway, and answer all the questions about what does that mean and who's going to be on the power play line if this guy is out. You guys are always in there. It's probably the best Discord channel in any Discord, literally in any even the ones that aren't DFS related, in any Discord ever. If you have a Discord out there and you think you have the best channel, you're wrong. It's our NHL channel in the RG Discord. So check that out. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Tim is at Tasteful Tides on Twitter, although he probably rarely tweets. So go find him in the Discord. He's there. I will be back tomorrow with, I believe, Cardi. We're going to take a preview of the Week 7 NFL slate. And hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me those subscribe buttons. Hit the subscribe button while you're here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got tons of content here on the YouTube channel, especially once NBA comes back. There'll be plenty. Swolecast is coming up at noon on the Swolecast channel. So go tilt over that. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Like I'm always here. Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy props and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.